afternoon, everybody. We hope you are well and dandy. My name is Helena.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are Speaker Insight, where we help speakers, authors, and coaches to build a portfolio business on your terms. And in fact, we were talking last night about that to all of our Changemaker Central members, which was really good fun. Now, for those of you who don't really know us, and for those of you who are not inside the Connection Hub, we're the founders of this fantastic group for speakers, authors, and coaches. We've got, 11,000 plus people talking to each other about the opportunities that they're sharing with each other, chances to speak on stages, join podcasts, stuff like that, but also the opportunity to connect to the people that you need as a speaker author coach to really make your business work for you. Whether that is you're looking for a proofreader for your latest manuscript, whether you are setting up a membership site and you don't actually know quite, who's going to help you do that. We've got all of those people in there, and we love to connect you together because we want to support you to build your change making business out there in the world so that you can go and make the difference that you want to make.
And our role in that community, and also in our membership community that I know people like Taruna is saying hi, we are your business managers, right? So we help you with running your business on your terms, whether that's the marketing, the strategy, the product development. That's where our niche fits. And we work with all those amazing people that are our partners, which we're going to talk about today in the hub, right? So every Tuesday, I know many of you are used to this. Every Tuesday at 1:00, we go live with a training, whether that's us training you or we use one of our partners or our guests to train you. And so we always love to hear where you're listening from. We love to just wave in the comments so that your little number becomes visible as a name on the screen. So give us a wave, or tell us what country or county you're listening from across the world. Mine mic's a little higher than yours. Yeah, Helena's having laptop issues at the moment, so
I'll pull it a little bit closer, and we'll see whether that does anything. And I'll do my best not to shout, because then I'll blow Kelly's ears out or something. But we'll go from here. So thank you for the piece of feedback. We love it when you say stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, we do,
so,
always.
Now, here's the thing. So as well as telling us where you're from and where you're listening in, sort of today, let us know, what is the buzz in your business? What's exciting? What's happening? Let us know. Have you put yourself in for something that's like scary to you? Are you off on holiday? What's going on for you? We really want to know. And it's your chance to share with the rest of the community who are watching, whether you're on the replay or not, what you're up to. So please, 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 here comes the jingle.
Oh dear. So the buzz in our business, let's kick you off while you're writing what your buzz is going on. I know that you've been very active in the Connection Hub on our buzz feed yesterday. There's lots of new stuff going on. But the first buzz is that I'm buzzing off tomorrow. So I've got
I get to be in charge.
Elena's going to be looking after our community and all of you guys for the next week while I'm on holiday. So that is the buzz, because it's been so long since we've been able to go away. Even though this is still a staycation, it feels like an absolute dream to go away. But also, because of that, we moved our monthly strategy meeting, Helena and I, to Monday this week so that we can fit it in. And one of the amazing things from that is, in that strategy meeting, we actually planned all of our 2022 events, right? So I know it's like a long way off, but this is the way that we were teaching the guys in the webinar last night about reverse engineering goals and setting targets. And that's the way that you can develop your marketing strategy, by really thinking this far ahead. And, we don't know what will happen with COVID, but at least we know that we can adapt to hybrid. We can do those styles that we've all learned in the last 18 months. Stevens, I just missed that. What was that?
Jacqueline's finally managed to watch the live, so that's really good. Or rather, she's watching this live, normally she watches them on the replay, is what I'm taking from that. There's quite a contingent in the middle of the UK watching us at the moment, from what I can see. And Stephen's saying that he's actually doing he's doing 24/7 Changemaker Kickstart course. So as part of our membership, we do a 90-day course that actively allows you to really set the foundations in your business. And Stephen's really busy, just literally putting that together.
Cramming in, aren't you, Stephen?
That's it. And so he's connecting to his big why, loving the challenge of the course and how it's put together. It's a great process to follow. Thank you for the feedback.
Brilliant. And Taruna's buzzes that she's getting referrals from her consistent networking. I know she was doing networking with cream tea and scones the other day, so
I
I
know.
was very
How
jealous.
amazing. And
I'm
then
just go on.
Jacqueline's saying that the buzz in her business is being trusted enough to take care of my writing mentors' Facebook groups for her so she can have a break. This is exactly what we're talking about. Good for you,
Another
Jack.
great partnership there, Jacqueline. So let's kick off with our topic, which we are talking about good partnerships, and
Yeah.
it's one of the things that Helena and I get complimented and commented on quite a lot, and people will often come up and go, I'm really jealous that I don't have a Helena in my business so I can actually like buzz ideas around, soundboard, just have someone. It really helps in these scenarios. When I'm going on holiday next week, Helena manages the front. When she goes away the week after, I manage the front. So that tag team environment is nice. Today we're going to talk about all the various elements of partnerships, not just this working relationship. But yeah, let's get into it.
Let's definitely do that. So part of the reason that we do this together is because part of it is values led, and we'll talk about that in a short while anyway. But the thing about this is that having somebody to work with, and we don't necessarily mean in this close relationship that Kelly and I are in, but we will consider that, but having people around you who are like-minded, and what we call it is like-valued, that really do align to working with each other in this way is amazing. Because here's the thing, running a speaker, author, coach business can be really, really lonely. It's you set yourself out there, you put your head above the parapet with your brilliant ideas. You want to change the world in some way, shape, or form. And then you actually start doing it, and it's like, most of your friends and family, if you're really honest, probably think you have three heads and you're a complete nutter for actually wanting to start a business in the first place. They highly likely don't really understand what you're going through because they're probably not as entrepreneurially minded as you are. They don't really understand what being a business owner is. And if you're being really honest, you probably don't understand some of those bits either if you've just left somewhere and you're going into this. And so it can be really, really scary or really lonely at times. And I can see loads of comments coming through. Is there anything you need to say?
No, just that this is something that people have been, sorry, I can't see the user. I think it's one of our change makers. I'm not in that group at the moment, but saying that they've been thinking about this for the past few weeks, finding a partner who balances my skills. I had no idea this is what you'd be talking about today. That's the synchronicity, right? We're in your head. We know what you want.
We really, really do. And that's essentially what we're doing. So part of the reason that we set up the Connection Hub, so Kelly and I run Speaker Insight, and Speaker Insight actually hosts and runs the Connection Hub, which is this group of 11,000 people plus, who are all coming together because we want you, because we know how lonely that is. So we want you to be making those connections, to have that sounding board, someone to just sense check your ideas and actually spark that creativity, and then make a product even better than it could have been than just you thinking it up by yourself in some way. So the inspiration from peers and professionals that's in there, if you're not in the Connection Hub yet, I'm sure Kelly's popped a link in there.
Oh, you're doing the page, hon.
Yeah, I will do the page in a second. I'll get excited about that. When Kelly starts speaking, I'll pop that in there. That's partly how this works, you see. But it's really about making sure that you have got people who have your back in all sorts of ways, because you need support from a lot of different levels. So we thought it would be very useful for us to start kicking you off on this discussion around how do you create partnerships and which ones do you actually need in your business. So if you're listening from the page, which I know you are, several of you are, I'll pop the link in there. Oh, well done, nice one. See, she's all over it. She's all over it.
Yeah. I'm not completely on holiday mode yet. I can still do some bits.
I'm just before 1 o'clock. Are you gonna read out?
I'm going to read Jeanette's one because it's really interesting, and I think we're going to come at this from a couple of angles today, Jeanette. So I definitely hope you'll get something from this. But my business is nursing and care, so it's a tough one to collaborate. But so far, I've been successful in getting cover It's a huge trust thing. I understand that completely. My
Mm.
second is being an author, speaker, and performer. And as I'm dyslexic, I need help putting my programs together. So this is proving useful, right? So let's talk about some of those areas.
Oh,
Um,
hang on. Before you do that, I'm completely loving this bit. You're all over it like. Hang on, I'm gonna say it properly. You are all over it like fresh sheets on a bed. Like that. That's just the most delicious thing. I can smell that right now, Jeanette. You can stay.
you can
Yes,
tell she's
yes,
an
oh
author and a
yes.
performer with a wordsmith like that, can't you? I love that. Okay. So what
Great.
we're going to explore initially is expanding on the concept of partnerships, just to get your brains thinking. You might not want to have what Helena and I have, but there are other ways of actually helping people support you in your business.
Yeah,
So the first one we're going to explore is about what we call working partnerships, which is this relationship that we have.
yeah.
And typically a working relationship is a long-term relationship where that person is an active shareholder. So not a
Mm-hmm.
silent partner, but an active person in the business.
Yeah,
And they specifically have a role that complements your role, and it actually sometimes fills a gap, but we'll come on to that in a minute.
yeah,
The second type of partnership you might look for are joint venture partnerships or some form of collaborations. Okay. So
yeah.
that's actually typically, and we highly recommend, we've done training on this in the hub about joint ventures, but we highly recommend that they're contracted,
Mm-hmm.
and that actually that contract explains how you work together, how you support each other, how you promote each other. And that can be by just one project,
Yeah,
like a launch, or it could be an ongoing relationship. And we'll talk to you through our partner program that we have 12 partners that are long-term relationships with
yeah,
us. And then the third one, and this is an exhaustive list, but we wanted to concentrate on the main partnerships. The
yeah.
third type of support you might want to get is either investment, and also having somebody on your board like a non-executive director. And
Mm-hmm.
these, you might have a combination. So like an angel investor, for example, will typically invest and they'll sit on your board, maybe as a silent partner or as an active mentorship role.
Yeah.
Or you might have a mentor or an expert who literally is there for credibility, and they just sit on your panel and give you advice and guidance. And
Mm-hmm.
potentially they might be this non-executive director with B class shares in your organization. But that's the important thing to think. Do I need someone that runs the business with me? Do
Mm-hmm.
I need someone who supports the promotion and the expansion of my message? Or do I need someone to invest and guide me? And it'd
Yeah.
be really interesting to hear in the comments, whether you're watching this live or in the replay, what area you're looking for. And is there something else? Because we can always cover it in another live if we need to
For
go on to a
sure.
different subject.
For sure. And please always do make suggestions. We love it when you make suggestions, because we'll either get someone in who knows about it, or if we know about it, we'll certainly kind of share that with you. Rekha is one of those people who was just actually thinking about this. So that's the person that you're
Brilliant.
whose name you
Thank
can't
you.
see at the moment. So she says, interesting, because I want to partner with someone who's already in a coaching, health and wellness business. I was thinking about partnering with someone already in a business as I'm new to this. So there's that kind of part mentorship, part partnership. Go ahead.
And
I know
just
what
on
you're
that
about
record,
to
if you're
say.
if you're in the connection hub, this is the perfect thing to do, right? In the connection hub, we have a hashtag called
She
hashtag
is.
call out.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So if you do hashtag call out and you're saying, hey, I'm looking for a coaching partnership, this is what I do, this is what I'm looking for, and you might have a bit more clarity after today's live, then
Yeah.
that's, you can post that at any time in the connection hub, because the connection hub is about making connections. So if
That's
you want
right.
to connect with someone like this as a joint venture, you're looking for investors, you're looking for working partnerships, ask the people in the hub and start doing some shortlisting.
Yeah. Now, so before you actually do that, we want to take you right back, because everybody, getting clarity. And of course, I'm going to mention, for those of you who are new to us, I'm obviously going to mention one of the key cornerstone training pieces that we do around the four intentions. You have to get clear on, in your mind, in your head and your heart, about why you want or need a partnership. That clarity is absolutely, I'm distracted by Stephen's Neurokin, Google it.
Google it. We will afterwards. I have no idea.
I absolutely will. It's really quite fun. Okay, so but here's the thing: we definitely want you to access the why behind the partnership. What is it that you want this thing to do for you? So we do have a training called the Four Intentions, which this would be a perfect subject matter. So Rekha, I would definitely. I'm just going to pop it into the Connection Hub, and I'll also pop it on the Facebook page so that you can actually do this, because whichever of the four kinds of partnership that Kelly was just talking through, you want to be getting complete clarity on why you want it and what you want it to do for you. So rather than us just actually say that, let's give you some ideas about what that might be so that we can get you salivating around it and go, yeah, that's actually kind of in the ballpark of where it is. Having partners, definitely, so it might be that you want them to, to increase your visibility, your reach, your conversions. And what we mean by that is that you might actually have a really great product, message, and service, but you may not yet, maybe you are newly established, for example, you may not yet have the reach that actually that message deserves out there. You may not actually have built your audience as well as you could have been. So that actively means that you need to be increasing your visibility. What are you smiling at?
Just Jeanette's comment. But I know that May's watching at the moment, and I think she's a really good example that she's been a really established business, but actually on the social media front, she's actually starting to pick up the game. So her stuff around anti-aging and being a therapeutic yoga teacher. She doesn't, even though she understands nutrition isn't something which is her qualification speciality. So if she was to find a nutritionist to actually have as a partner, like a more of a joint venture relationship, and that nutritionist could be somebody who's got immense reach and contacts, then that will help that increasing her visibility, increasing the reach and conversion. But she's actually offering something unique to that partner too. The subject matter is complementary, but they don't conflict.
Yeah, and that's really a key. So complementary but not conflicting means that you can actively deliver more. So if you're always service orientated, which of course we call for all of our speakers, authors, and coaches to be, we're always delivering value. So what value can I add is a really great question that allows you to start thinking about that element of it. The second level, and I think, Rekha, this is partly what you're talking about, is this whole idea of accessing expert advice and guidance. Again, depending on the type of partnership that you're looking for, you may well want someone who is a longer-term partner to you that has the experience that you don't currently have. You might have the passion, the energy, and some of the resources, but you really want to ensure. Sorry, the sun is absolutely kind of like it's just deciding to come and play. So I'm just going to put everything.
Don't complain.
A little bit.
I need it to stay sunny for my holiday.
Absolutely, it's like I'm bringing the sun to you, honey, and I'm just going to let it do what it's doing, right? So the expert advice and the guidance that you might actually get from someone who's more experienced in business with you, or who's more experienced in a particular part of the industry that you want to break into, for example, can also be, you might be doing really well where you are in the niche that you've set, but you might now want to expand into a different niche. So that might be the partnership that you are actually actively looking for. Of course, when you're going for scaling and you're going for growth, sometimes the partnership that you need is a financial injection of some kind. You actually do need that the capital that allows you to take your company from where it's at. Maybe it's systems you need, maybe you're upgrading software, maybe in order to reach that further, you need to develop some elements in your business. Maybe it's even a prototype of some kind, for a product that you're doing. But for some of you, scaling means you require a financial injection. Partnerships can deliver that as well.
And some people, we know a couple of people who've just been through this recently, is sometimes it might be that you merge, right? Yes. So somebody might invest in you, but actually your company's actually merged. So you might, whether that's sharing operative systems, whether that's sharing team, premises, all these types of things, you might keep your own identity and brand, but actually you might reduce the cost or have an injection of cash by having that merger or acquisition if it is something that you're wanting to sell your business to. That's
Yeah.
a completely different subject.
Yeah, and something that we of course have done some training on, so you can just reference the guides and see where that's actually at. But all of us have an idea for what we want our companies to be. So having that in mind, you may well be setting up your company to exit, and you may well actually be looking for someone who can take that on for the next 2 or 3 years whilst you share all of your expertise with them so that they can continue, for example. So you're beginning to get, we hope, the idea that saying I want to partner definitely needs investigation, right?
Yeah.
So Kelly, she says, for some reason your volume is really loud. So I'm taking that to mean that you're sounding okay for me, but we'll
Let me.
let you know from here.
I've just turned my gain down because I know how to do this now on my
Yeah.
Yeti,
Yes, thank you, Shiggy.
and that might be better. And
Okay, oh, go on.
no, no.
Okay, so we've talked about increasing your visibility and reach, getting that expert advice and guidance. We've talked about getting the financial injection. It may actually be that you just want to expand the business capacity and the delivery element of it. Maybe you've developed a really great framework and you're now taking on additional coaches to deliver that in. Maybe it's the content that you're getting out to a wider regional stance. Maybe you've got people going out and delivering workshops on your behalf. So maybe it's just simply an expansion that actually is happening where other people, there are a lot of really great coaches out there who actively want to deliver. I'm using coaching in this instance that, sort of it goes across the board, who actively don't want to necessarily think up their own thing, but who really want to go and do a lot of the delivery. You could partner with somebody who actively comes in and just loves what you stand for, how you're doing what you're doing, and you, between you, set up a partnership that allows you to cover much more area and increase the capacity in your company. So, and of course, I'm definitely going to put this one in here. It is also about, is the business working on your terms? Are you having the fun that you want to have? Are you actually enjoying the stimulation of being sparked, of creating something together? Maybe it's your value set of just actually belonging. You might be missing the teamwork that you had of, the water cooler moments when you were working in, whether it's a small company or whether it was a large corporate. You may actually just find that you work better. I know for a fact that I work better when I'm with somebody else. And so that's what we do. Jeanette's just saying, yes, that's true. Becoming an octopus, we need those extra limbs sometimes, don't we? I really love your metaphorical language here, Jeanette. You are very welcome. I'm enjoying this.
So let's break down these 3 areas into a little bit more detail so that you can work out about how to find people, how to approach, and also sort of our warning symbols, because obviously we've done all 3 of these. So we never teach anything that we've never done before, right?
For sure.
So we can give you our heads up on what to do. So let's start with those that are looking to find some form of working partnership, like the relationship that Helena and I have.
Yeah.
And we always are going to say,
but it won't be anything like this. It'll be your own version of whatever this is. I'm just saying that now.
And I think one of the things is the best places to start is always when you're looking at this is to look at your own values and your own work ethics, right? Because this, especially if you're going into something from a long-term relationship, this is actually what's going to be the glue that sticks you together. There are things we'll talk about which are factual things, but this is the most important. So I really want you to really understand what are your bugbears, right? What are the things that really, the traits that potentially you have or might have fired people over before, right? If you're somebody that can't stipulate lateness, then that's a real, being on time and effectiveness and all that type of thing is a real high value of yours.
Yeah.
You need to just be really aware of this, because you're just going to rub each other up the wrong way if every time you meet somebody they're an hour late or 5. These are the small things to be aware of, your own needs, your own personality, but what bonds and what divides you.
Yeah, like seriously, do a SWOT analysis or whatever, whichever way around you like it, but actually doing that on yourself so that you come, warts and all, and present yourself to someone is really important because Yeah, as Kelly says, it can rub each other up the wrong way. And you know how it is. So at TGI Fridays, I worked there for 11 years. I opened 17 of those stores. And we had a thing called oyster theory. And the oyster theory was, sort of the guest is an honored guest in your own home. And they're like an oyster that needs protecting because, it's it's the grain of sand that gets into the oyster that actually creates the pearl, the hardness, the, sort of, yes, there's value there, but, that's where it comes in. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that you come as openly and honestly as you can to the relationship, because it is a relationship, and that they do the same.
Yeah, it's the same in like,
Tarun is saying that she's nodding, even though we can't see her.
it's the same. It's the same in any form of relationships. Whether that's the romantic relationships, family relationships. Knowing, things like your love language. That doesn't have to be romantic, by the way. But these are the ways that you communicate, and also, really go back to your values. So, when Helena and I were bumping into each other, probably 10, 15 years ago, I was managing speakers that she was working with. We were working being called in to run workshops together. I was like, who is this girl? And actually, I quite like what she's doing in the back of the room there, and how she's like holding the space for people. And we connected because actually our highest values are structure, connection, and fun, right? So these are three things where we geek out about some of those things. And, and our whole business has been built around those three top values.
Yeah.
So when you're really clear about what yours are, then when you're actually getting to know other people and actually trying out these relationships, which we'll go on to in a minute, then you can start to see, are they like me? Are they like valued? We talk about like-minded, but we talk about like valued.
Yeah, because they don't have to be like you, but
no, we're not.
To be liked, valued, right? Like yin and yang here.
Yeah, I was going to go on and talk about that, but in that respect of Helena and I, many of you will know that we are personality-wise very different. So I am we're on the wrong side of the screen. I'm no, we're not. I can't think this is flicked, but I'm the left brain and she's the right brain, right? So I'm the geeky, logical, and I'm also more of a consultant. Yeah. Helena is more of a coach, and she'll actually do more of the emotional, supportive, all those side of things. Yeah. So actually, that's why our relationship and the guys on Changemaker and that are coached by us will see that, I hope they appreciate this dual approach, because they get the hard hit, no BS, this is what you need to do from me, and they get the loving hugs and the understanding and the empathy and the support from Helena. So it's this is when we're talking about the blend of what are your personality gaps, what are your skill set gaps, that somebody else could actually emphasize your delivery, your business, by adding another dimension to it.
Yeah, for sure. What I'm loving is Jeanette, happy anniversary. So she's going to disappear, but thank you. She says, thank you. You guys are ace. I love all the cards, and I want you all to listen to this because it's really important, right? Because you never know who's watching, when, and for how long. So Jeanette says, thank you. You guys are ace. I love all the cards you've dealt. You're a dab hand at this. I came in to check you out, and you've flown the checkered flag for me. I'll be recommending you guys. I'm off as it's my anniversary today. Going forward lunch. Terrific live. So do come back and kind of watch the rest of it if you've not gone yet. But that actually works. And Jacqueline saying you're on the left of the screen at the moment. So we're kind of doing that perfectly.
And Jen's also put in a really good example here. She's just found a joint venture partner for property development who share her values, right, and have lots of experience through another networking event. So they rock. So this is the thing, right? There's the commonality there, but then they're bringing another thing to your pot so that you can expand together. So that's the first thing. The other thing is to understand, if you're really evaluating your business, then you'll be looking at, so where are your gaps, right? Is it the how you deliver it? Is it the fact that you're at full capacity that we spoke about before? And who would complement that style and approach that we just said about how Helena and I contribute and work for each other? Yeah. I would highly encourage you to make a wish list, right?
Yes.
Just go down and go, okay, so what personality would this partner have? What skill sets would they have? What kudos would they have? What influence and impacts and database size would they have? All these types of things, because then you can actually just play a little bit of a game. Every time you're meeting new people, you can go, oh, okay, they're an 8 out of 10. Oh, they're a 1 out of 10. And the main thing is if they cross your values, and they just get a big extra straight away, because one of the things that we say is to think about who's in your network. I know that May's just posted a thing that she found somebody in the Connection Hub last week, which is now just done a interview with today, and that they're a potential partner because she did a call out post, like we said, in the hub. So think about who's in your network.
Yeah.
Think about who's in other people's networks where you trust,
like Jen literally just did.
Yeah, just that. And then look for synchronicities and alignments. Like when I was seeing Helena at the same events, managing people that I manage, and I was like, there's something there, there's an alignment there. But this is the thing, start small.
Hell yes.
Do not go, oh, I want you to be my lifetime partner. This is a bit like dating when you go straight to bed, right? You want to have a few dates, you want to have a few ventures, you want to see, you want to live together first and see what the pressure's like and all their annoying habits before you get married, right?
Yeah.
The same is in a working relationship. So maybe start to collaborate, do something together, just like May's just started to do this. Or see how you work under pressure, see how you work to deadline, see how you work with the same avatar and the same audience. And that's the way to start to get to know each other first before you commit and go, oh, okay, we're a match made in heaven. Let's become a shareholder in my business and give you all of my IP. And we'll talk about that in another training, but that's just a heads up for you.
So, and one sort of final thing on this is you might need to kiss a couple of frogs. I mean, I've definitely walked away from, and one of them was really, I didn't kiss Kelly. Like, I just kept seeing her. I know, that's my point. You're like glamorous goddess. But here's the thing, right? You may well get it wrong, and that's okay. That's still grist for the mill, which is why Kelly's saying start small, because that whole Tony Heiss sort of principle that still runs through Zappos shoes around actually hiring slow, finding the partner slowly and firing fast is actually still a principle that you need to do. So once you've got maybe one red flag, two red flags, three red flags, I'm not going to do the football analogy here because I don't know enough about football, but you get it. Like, when those red flags start coming up, you want to be turning around and going, actually, this is not for me, because this really is, when Kelly and I work together, when we create the online courses that we create, I am literally going through to her house, or she's coming to mine. So that actually means that it's not just us together, it's us and the wider family together as well. So I'm an honored guest in their home when we actually have working days together. So there's a wide impact around, depending on the kind of partnership that you're talking about. So we're just highlighting this, particularly in that little piece around the finding a working partner that you're with. So yeah.
There wouldn't be any partner in any form of relationship, business or context, that I wouldn't invite home to my house, because if you don't have that level of connection, trust and understanding, then I think it's a recipe for disaster, really. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
So that's finding someone to actually work really closely with, however that looks for you. The second layer, if you like, is the partnerships that are more joint venture-like, or the collaborations that you might actually create. Now, with this, and this comes in, if you know as well, here comes the word, it's always about your avatar. It's always about who is the person that unites the two of you. Most likely, you have the same audiences in some way, and that's really what you should be sharing and what connects the two of you. And as we said before, not competing, but instead complementing each other is what you're looking for. You want to be serving your avatar really differently, or at different stages of what we call your user journey. One of the things we really help people define is their user journey. What products can people buy from you at what stage? And that then, once you've got the clarity of that actually helps you identify the JVs, the gaps that we were talking about earlier, that you might want. So JVs for short is joint ventures, just in case, I know I said the full full word, but I didn't actually do this. But that actively allows you to identify which partners could serve your ideal clients and how you could actually, which products you have that could serve somebody else's ideal client. So you're doing a user journey match and kind of actually doing a slotting things in and seeing where the complementary steps are and what the natural next step for your joined or combined avatar might be. So it might even be that it's a bit like a zigzag that they ping pong back and forth from you, or it might be that you have them, we've talked about this before, your A, B, C, D clients, the ones that are really just brilliant for you, A clients, and your D clients who are not brilliant for you because you deliver a slightly different bit. Your D clients might be somebody's A clients. That would be a perfect way to actually collaborate with those people because maybe they're not ready to work with you yet. They need to work with your partner first in order to get them ready to continue the journey with you. So who are those people? So there's a before and after piece, but there's also a alongside. What's Joe saying?
She's hoping to work with a lady in my field to go into business and deliver workshops on a range of mental well-being and including addiction, which is a perfect example, Joe, because
Yeah.
You've got that area of expertise of alcoholism, but then to actually work with somebody that's coming from the qualified, trained mental health side of things, because it might not be the area that you want to, deal with that type of client in that context, but you've got a safeguarding bit in place to refer people to someone who's qualified and wants to work with them in that way. So that's a perfect example, Joe, of a great relationship you've got.
Yeah, good for you. Now, for us, what it looks like, because obviously, as Kelly said, we never do anything that we never suggest anything to you that we don't do ourselves. We've identified 12 companies that are in our Speaker Insight Partner Program. And those 12 companies, Kelly's already popped the link in there so you can go and check that page out. They all are there. We've gathered them all in one place. They are the people that don't do what we do, but that help speakers, authors, and coaches to actively build those businesses on your terms. So they are web developers, they are publishers, graphic design, branding, all of the things that you need to build your business on your terms. There are many others. There are 12. So I wasn't going to list every single one of them, but you can go and have a look at that to give you some inspiration for what you might actually think about, because that's related to the user journey. So when we sat and really thought about who do we want to endorse and put in front of? What are our audience constantly asking for that we can connect them through to, that we can check out, that are like valued, that then means that actually we have a shared avatar and one of our partners can actively serve those clients that we have, because they're going to have the same type of experience because of that value match. That's a really important thing. And all of those go on.
No, I was just going to say, just to really emphasize this as well, is that it took us 2 years to put this partner program together. So
Yeah.
not only did we check these people out, but we worked with them, or our clients worked with them, right?
Yeah.
Because we then not only knew we were a value match, that was the first step.
Yeah.
Then we tested their services. Are they the standard? Are their customer care? Is the way that they work a like value to us?
Yeah.
And also, Helena and I had probably been working with them decades back, some of them before, as well as when we started, Helena and I, to work together. So we already had this, we knew them. They were already part of our network.
And we knew what we wanted our business model to also be, because it fits in with our business model. So we've been eyeing people up since we very first began the company. We've been eyeing people up and just keeping a watch on them. So in that same way that, someone earlier on was just saying, I've been watching you, kind of coming in. You don't know who's watching for what you're doing, but if you're showing up consistently, being who you are, which is what we always say to you, you are the light, the lighthouse that kind of people come to. What happens is eventually someone's going to go, yeah, that's the person for me, and reach out and start to do this. So, there's something here about ensuring that everything you do is on brand, in your style, with your values, with the set of excellence. We strive for excellence, and we know that every single one of our partners strives for excellence too, with that combined avatar, which just means that we have no qualms in recommending and indeed endorsing, because we've either tried their products or watched the journey that one of our clients
Right.
has done with them, because of that trust element that's in there. So we also operate now, for us, we like to take things to the highest level we possibly can. So not only do we work collaboratively with people, which is why you occasionally see Speaker Insight partner approved posts or Facebook Lives in there. They're the people that we know and we've already vetted for you on behalf of, in this way. But we also operate, part of the give and take behind this is we operate a mastermind together in the behind the scenes, so that because they're peers of ours and we share the, sort of what goes on in the industry, what's going on in our businesses, we help each other out. It's a very it's a loving space, but it's also a
Collaborative.
pushing space.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, right? So
We're one of those people. It's like, oh, they're not our partners and nobody else can have them. So they all go and do stuff together, and we facilitate that. And we love that, because this is about abundance. This is about collaboration. This isn't about scarcity and ego, right?
for sure. So we share the same avatars. Speakers, authors, and coaches in general, consultants in this way. May's just saying this is sounding like a romantic relationship coaching, and it kind of is. Sort of like these are people that we are spending a lot of time with.
Yeah. And you got to love your business.
You gotta love your business, and we all do, which is great. Now, but here's the thing. So in our case, our partners offer different products and services that we don't to the speakers, authors, and coaches and consultants that unite all of us. And everything in there, whether it is the PR element, whether it is the speaker training that actually goes on, whether it's the web design that you end up being handheld through, all of those are people that we actively want you to use, because we know that it'll help you grow your business. And that's ultimately our end game in having the partners as well, is for you not to waste time getting your message out there.
And it's really important, the win, win, win.
Win.
What's in it for you? What's in it for the partners? What's in it for the client, the customer, the end person that's using that services? If that's out of balance, then that's when things start to go a little bit tricky. So make sure you are all very clear and transparent and contracted around those 3 wins.
Yeah. And the key thing really for you, so the action here for you, is really to think about, of course it's an income line, of course it is something that is financially in there, but we've been highlighting the other elements of it. But think about, what are the products and services that you often refer your clients onto, and what are the providers that you actually go, oh yeah, I must connect them with Bob or Mary or whoever it is, because actually they're just your go-to trusted person. Because the chances are that when you really look a little bit deeper, they do share your values, your ethics, the way that you do things around here. And have a think about then, how could we work together? That's a really great question to ask yourself. What could we do together is my favorite networking question. And actually that question goes, what could we do if we partnered together, would be the additional piece of that question. So how can you both benefit from working together and supporting your customers? So that's where that win-win-win comes in.
So, and I just want to add to this as well, because just to talk about collaborations, which are slightly different to joint ventures.
Yeah.
And I know I've mentioned this before on how to get more speaking gigs. If you're a speaker and you're watching, I've seen this done with a lot of the speakers that I manage, and I've also seen it done with some people that are members of the Professional Speaking Association as well, is that you can create mini collaborations between 4 or 5 speakers. And if you have a similar avatar, as we just said, the avatar is what unites, similar ethics, similar values, but you talk on different topics, then you can actually operate as a bit of a tag team. So if somebody comes in and they're a leadership speaker for, a certain size corporation, then once they've done their bit and they've actually inspired the leadership team, then they go, actually, what I feel that you might need now is actually more interpersonal communication skills to then now market that message that you've aligned with and make sure that you're operating and developing your team. My friend, who's also a professional speaker, is a communication coach specialist for leaders.
Yeah.
Should I introduce you? And then it's like a tag team. And so this is like another mini mastermind or collaboration where you're actually into referring people.
Yeah.
The client wins, you win, and your partner or whoever you're in the collaboration wins too. But it's a really good thing to set yourself up for, because
sure.
most speaking gigs are done on referrals. That's how most of them you'll be getting them, for like other people recommending you in.
Yeah. And that's not just the speaking gigs. That's obviously the product range that you have behind them going into companies. You know, if you go in wearing an HR hat and you see what else is needed, you can literally recommend somebody else in, because you see that there's a need in that company, that your intervention alone will do quite a lot, but the together intervention, you know, or the follow-on intervention actually will do even more for that particular company. So again, we're always operating on win-win-win. So
the last one is about financial investment and having an NED, which is the last type of partnership that we spoke about at the beginning. And this one is the one that
an NED?
Non-executive director. I did say that earlier, but you might not have been listening.
But you know how it is.
So one of the things here is with this type of partnership is this is the one where I can guarantee you need a very clear overarching strategy around your business, right? So you need to have all your ducks in a line around clarity wise in order to make these types of partnerships work. And also because the point of these is that you need to be attractive. You need to be able to demonstrate the value that when these people come on board or invest, of what they're going to get from being part of your company. So this is the one that involves, plans and strategic thinking and pitching and really knowing your stuff. The other ones might be more based on relationship and trust and getting to know each other and testing it out. This is the one that needs more evidence. So when you're looking for someone who to invest in your company, you definitely need to have the basics outlined. A clear profit and loss forecast, an executive summary, which is basically illustrating, your USP, your credibility, who you are, how much money you need, how you're going to spend that investment, how are they going to get their ROI, and how long it's going to take for that to come back. So these are foundational bits of information to have established before you even go and approach anybody, and for your own clarity, because a lot of people need a lot less than what they think, right? So
that was actually the bit that I was going to say. It's fantastic to have everything in one place, because you suddenly go, hang on a minute, I don't need that bit, I actually need this extra bit.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just reading Tarina's call out post there. So maybe that's a post for you to put in the Connection Hub, Tarina, about that. Yeah, see, there's lots of branding speakers in there. So the thing about investment is you might have somebody who are silent partners. So they just give you the investment and they actually don't help you or guide you or even dictate where that money needs to be sent. Yeah. Or you might have people who will actually sit on your board and will actually act as more of a mentor. And they'll actually be guiding you with the money. And to be honest with you, I think that most investors prefer the other side, because they're coming with some form of expertise. They're adding goodwill to your company, but they're also helping you, making sure you just don't splash it all up the wall.
Squander things in some way, but also, sort of like for a lot of them, the chances are that they've been in business for a little while. They're probably in that slow down phase, but don't actually want to let go of being a contribution to a business. And this is a perfect way for them to do that.
Okay, so the thing to be doing is to explore what the possibilities are and out there, and we could even get that. One of my friends, Bill Morrow, he's mad as a box of frogs, but I love Bill. He owns a company called angelsden.com. Actually, Helena, would you mind just typing that in for me?
I'll just pop that in there.
Thanks, Sam. So angelsden.com is where anyone can actually go and try and find an angel investor. Normally they're looking for quite large types of investments. So, we're talking about, over 150K normally, which for most speakers, authors, and coaches are way too much, right? So most people are looking for smaller amounts, but Angels Den and Bill is a great person. I've referred 3 people to him this month, but he's a great place to start if you're looking to understand And even things like if you're a startup, the SEIS schemes that you can actually
Yeah.
use angel investors to invest in you that way, and they get tax breaks. There's lots of things that his network will be able to support you with.
Yeah.
And then potentially also others, as well as investors, you might just need a loan, right?
Yeah.
You might see that actually I just need that injection of cash for that software, for that team hire, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And lots of the places now that when you're an early stage company, the loans come with a mentoring scheme.
Yeah.
So there is the one which I've used quite a lot with people called startupdirect.org.
Yeah.
And thanks, Elena, for putting that in.
No
And
worries.
in there, you can actually get, it's pretty, if you're looking for anything under 25K, you're pretty much, if you've got a strong forecast, good executive summary, you're pretty much guaranteed to get 25K within 6 weeks of application. And it comes with a mentor, right?
And here's the great thing. As you're sat here thinking about that, just think about what would that do with and for your business right now. But also, don't ignore this if you're not thinking about this. Go and have a look at what the application form is so that you can start to go, what gaps have I actually got that I could put in place in case I had a brilliant brainwave in 3 weeks' time that actually goes, what have I actually got? So get yourself ready. Take a first tiny step around
Yeah.
what might be possible. What do I need to actually do or prove?
So that's the finance side of things, a little touch point because it's a big subject. But if you want more
Oh, it's
about that, then
huge.
let us know and we can go into more detail.
Yeah.
The other bit is actually having that mentor, that guidance, that person who actually acts as that NED, that non-executive director.
For sure.
And I've been an NED for companies before. I've had NEDs in my companies. I think they're absolutely tremendous for many different reasons.
Yeah.
They will normally sit on your board, as I said. So they are normally not silent because the point of them there is actually to be there, to have the goodwill, to be there as some sort of guiding light for you. But what also some NEDs can do is boost the credibility of your company. So I was working with a sports company once, and they actually got a famous tennis person, well known, I'm not going to disclose anything here, to be an NED on their board. Actually, that person didn't do much guidance in the company, but by having his name on the director's list of who's on the board of the company, the company's credibility went through the roof, and they started to get all these lawn tennis deals because I'm sure their business was good, but that name was what sealed the deal on their board.
We talk a lot about borrowed credibility. So whether that is, and think about that from the JV perspective as well. Think about that in that middle section around the collaborations. It may actually be back to the increasing visibility or reach in some way, that actually one of the influencers, what you might bring is some graft and some effort around the marketing of things, but you're borrowing the credibility of someone who's already established in that way. That works for both of these, right?
Yeah. And it's also talking about the relationship. So when I had my publishing house, I actually had my mentor was the NED of my business. So lovely Peter Haddon from Top Achievers. He's the most wonderful guy in the world, right? And so he would actually mentor me for free, but in exchange for B-class shares in my organization. So he'd sit on my board, we'd have those weekly mentor, and he's a mentor, not a coach. There's a difference. Watch the live.
Oh, yes.
But in that respect, but that could be something you might be thinking about. If somebody really cares about you and they want you to be successful, they might even actually go, well, let's change the relationship and the financial dynamics, because if you're going to be successful, then I'm going to be successful. So matching these people to your values again is where we're going to start with everything. It's always the starting point. But think about what expertise, what insights, what connections, what little black book can these people open up for you, or what guidingship and mentorship and coaching could they offer your company to take it to the next level.
And if you flip it, if you're someone watching this who's actually already got that kudos and you've established yourself in some way and you go, what's my next level? You might consider becoming that mentor, that investor, whatever level
That NED.
And I was just going to say that because it may not be financial, but it may actually be that you want to experience a slightly different industry in some way. So it might be that you're at the stage where you go, I want to share what I've learned, and what's one of my best ways of doing that? Actually, I want to bring on board a younger company that is either a direct connection for me, or indeed is in an industry that I'm just really fascinated by and that I'm now beginning to be interested in. So how can I use my expertise and my experience to do that? So think about this. It's a partnership, so there are two. So you're bringing something and they're bringing something. So get really clear on what kind of partner do I need? Is the value set absolutely in tandem? How slowly can I do it so that I can test that we are definitely kind of like on par and in
We're
sync?
dating. We're
Yeah,
dating.
exactly. It's like, do they eat the way that I would like them to? Do they like the places that I like? Do they not like musicals? In which case they're out because I constantly hum musicals in the background, etc., right? So it's this whole, and how does it create the win-win-win? So there are quite a few questions in there, but we're definitely saying growth happens through partnerships, for sure. Financial, personal, and indeed the thriving for all of
Capacity,
your
yeah.
clients and everything else, right?
Perfect. So we want to hear from you, and make sure you use the hub to do call out posts
Call
to
outs.
search for those people, right? I look forward to seeing a lot more. Well, maybe not this week because I'm not
I
online,
know, I
but
was going to say,
when I
you
get
might not see any of those. That'll just be me. Right.
back.
Thank you for sticking with us for so long. It is a really, really important part of your business, and we hope you've taken a lot away from it. Let us know in the comments what you're going to do as a result of this, because we always like to know. On that note, we'll leave you to the rest of your week. Have a nice, productive, effective, and efficient one with me.